another edition of 43.6, the sports podcast that you've always wanted. I'm Dustin Perry, and I'm joined by James Key. Hello, James.
Hello.
And Maddie Key. Hello, Maddie.
Yo.
We got a lot of interesting topics to discuss this week. Some are ridiculous in nature, and that's what we do on this show. We talk all about the sports that we want to talk about and all the other ridiculous things in the world that we want to talk about. If you enjoy that, please follow 43.6 on social media, and we're also on YouTube. This episode will be available up on YouTube as well. Search 43.6 in YouTube, and you'll find us right there. And going forward, every episode should be on there. And we thank you for subscribing there as well.
Subscribe so that we can get a vanity URL, so we don't have to tell you to search for it. We can just go YouTube/43.6, but you need to subscribe for us to get there. So tell people to subscribe. Click the little bell, tells you when there's new videos, all that shit.
All that good stuff. And also, good stuff is what we have on the show today. We're going to talk about many things, but the main things are going to be the Oakland A's, hot dogs, the World Junior Championship, Nazem Kadri, Patrick Kane, Kevin Durant, Deshaun Watson, and top 5 favorite athletes of all time. This is a packed show. But first, before we get to all that, we do like to talk about what's happened in the past week. So, James, we'll kick it off with you. What does your hat say?
Pika Pika.
Underneath the brim.
Pika Pika. It's a Pikachu, okay. Buddy.
Did you see? Okay, so I'm super off topic already, but did you see the announcement today with the Pokemon/Mini remix?
No, I didn't see that. What is that?
Oh yeah, it was Gamescom.
Yeah, today was Gamescom. So we're recording a day late because I had family stuff to do yesterday. But today was Gamescom, and during Gamescom they showed off a BMW Mini that was like cross Pokemon.
Whoa.
So it's an electric car that's run by Pikachu, and the coolest thing about the car, I mean, other than like the crazy Pikachu animation when you start the car, and it's a concept car. It'll probably never come to market. But the coolest thing is there's a projector on the front end of the car that like just projects like,
episodes?
Video output.
Oh.
So yeah, it could be a movie if you so choose, or you can attach your Nintendo Switch and play like Switch up against the side of a wall or something.
That's fucking cool because like you could do your own like driveway drive-in. Like that'd be kind of neat.
Exactly.
That's
actually for people who normally go like camping and have a trailer or something. Like just park your car in front of the trailer. Boom. There's your projector.
Or bring like a backdrop with 2 poles, like those like for photo shoots. Just bring one of those, throw it in front of your car. It takes 2 seconds to put up. That's kind of neat. Yeah, no, Pika Pika. I'm all in on Pokemon again. It's because my kid is. So like I said, we know you got the Charmander back there, but yep, there he is. It's like she's just all about it. So like it like rekindled my interest in it, and like the World Championships were over the weekend, and I watched a bit of that, which is kind of the nerdiest fucking thing. Like I was talking about it at work, and I was like, is anyone actually hearing about this right now? Like, am I outing myself as a big fucking nerd? But yeah, no. So yeah, Pika Pika. I got this hat at GameStop. There he is, the man himself.
This is my Pikachu amiibo. I have very few amiibo, and I'm glad I only have a very few amount of
Dude,
amiibo.
some people go ham. Some people.
This could have been a thing,
right?
I know for a lot of people it is a thing. Like, but if I had bought like the first run of them, I know, like all these wrestling toys back there, like there would have been a collection at some point. I'm like, I have to start buying all of them.
Dude, there's an empty display case in the back of Maddie's video over there. Or is it that way? Where you could, dude. I'm surprised you didn't go all in bonerific on amiibo. Like I would have thought you guys would have. Like that seems like right up your thing.
It's because I have too much shit already. The last thing I need is an amiibo or to like get caught fighting some little kid at a Toys R Us for a default Samus that has 2 blasters because they messed up the molding.
This guy knows. Look, he already knows. He's like,
Do you guys know who Gary Whitta is?
No.
No.
So Gary Whitta is one of the writers for one of the Star Wars movies. He did Rogue One. And apparently, like, even the writer of the movie doesn't get the action figures sent to him, so he had to go to like a Target or whatever, like the day the action figures were released to get.
I can fix.
He just wanted to get every one of like that movie, right? And he goes in. Of course, there's a huge rush of people to get the new Star Wars toys that came out, and they both grabbed like the last K2 SO, like they're both holding on to it. And he's like, I don't want to tell him I created this character. So you just like, you let it go and let the guy have it. But he's like, I felt like big leaguing him there for a second. Like, yo, I wrote this fucking character. Like, I'm taking this toy.
That's
Yeah,
the thing.
and
Like,
then I would have been like, go fuck yourself. Why didn't you get one for free?
Exactly.
yeah, that's it's funny. Like, oftentimes the guys who create shit don't get sent that kind of stuff, which I think is kind of a miss. But yeah, no, fuck, man. All like cards, games. I'm going back. Dude, I went and grabbed my Game Boy Advance Pokemon games, and I'm gonna pop those in my Game Boy Micro and play those. Fuck, dude. Yeah, all in. Got the hat, the
Gotta catch
sweater.
'em all.
Yeah, that's the plan. All 4,000 of them.
Funny story about Pokemon on DS. So when one of us used to manage an EB Games, kids would come in and trade in their Pokemon games, but they wouldn't wipe the data.
We would just steal.
We would just go in and poach and be like, yo, this kid has like 8 of these and they're all level 100. We're like, trade them, and we'd trade them to ourselves and then like wipe the game.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah. I have the crystal one.
Yeah.
This is
Pokemon
the
Yellow.
Pokemon Yellow that I had when I was a kid.
Yeah. Do you still play it?
On my, no, I haven't turned this on in years.
You should.
I did turn it on recently because someone had a question about a Pokemon. I don't remember what Pokemon it was, and like the certain type, they didn't believe that the type was.
And Google
flying
wasn't
normal or something.
your friend?
Well, no, but like they didn't believe it. Like they saw it on Google and they're like, "This was Taylor Kelly." Like he's like, "No way was this Pokemon." I don't remember what Pokemon it was. It's like, "No way this was like a flying normal type or something." And we pulled it up on Google. He's like, "Nope, I don't believe it. That's like some Gen 5 bullshit." So I'm like,
Yeah.
I will take out my Game Boy and I will go to this Pokemon and I will show you.
Dude, the games hold up too. And the games hold up because the formula is so simple. And it's the same, and you don't need to deviate. Like, even if you think about the newer versions, like, it's still the same formula. You got a bunch of badges, you got catch a couple Pokemon on the way, level them up, like, and basically just do cool shit. Like, that's...
I'm with you. I played Pokemon Arceus for like 100 hours and I finished.
I haven't
Pokedex
played that
games.
yet. Is it good?
It's so good.
It's
It is-
very addicting.
Yeah, it's stupid addicting because you get like challenges that you got to do, and to unlock certain Pokemon, you have to complete the decks. And it's not like it's overly hard to complete, but it's just tedious, and you become obsessive.
It constantly drops a carrot in front of you of like, okay, I'm gonna turn the game off. Oh man, but I just saw like an EV run by and I need like 2 more EVs to get 10 EVs, and then once I get 10 EVs, I get a check mark, and this check mark, it's a whole thing. Like there's always like
that's the thing that
one
would bug
little
me.
thing that makes you want to keep playing.
But that's what would bug me, is that I don't want to catch 10 EVs. I want to catch one EV.
It's
and
not
then
that
go
big of a
catch-
deal.
It's everywhere.
They're running around all the time, and you don't have to battle them anymore. You just take a Pokeball and throw it at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
huck it from behind, and you're good.
Yeah, they
Whoa.
just Pokeball right in the back of the head. It makes a really satisfying sound too when you hit them in the back of the head with a Pokeball.
It does. Like that squishy.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Love
It's
it.
a cool sound.
Well, I'll
No,
try.
like-
I'm stoked for Scarlet and Violet. That looks fun. But this isn't
Speaking
a
of Game Boy,
podcast.
Dustin, that Game Boy might be worth something.
Oh, I will never sell it.
Don't.
My-
My crystal
my-
one, I think the last time I checked was like a few bits of money.
My hardware I typically don't sell.
No.
Actually, that's the hardware and games I typically don't sell. I've actually been looking up this company. I think it's called like Rose Colored or something like that. Rose Colored Gaming. I think that's it. Not a sponsor, but they make these display cases, and they are really cool looking.
Yeah.
So I've been looking into getting a bunch of display cases for my old Game Boy, and you can put like a cartridge on it, and then I would put like, so it'd be like the Game Boy, the cartridge, and then my Pikachu amiibo, and then at least it looks like uniform as if it's there as some sort of art display.
That's cool.
I don't know.
I have something like that for one of my favorite games. Earthbound, I have like I ordered just a case off Amazon, and I put all like the game and like a bunch of figures in it, so it looks like one piece. Was it Rose Colored Gaming?
Rose Colored Gaming, yep.
I'll check that
I'll
out.
pull up a bunch of them later if you want to take a look at it. But I have a cart with like 9 things in there.
Yeah, I will check it out.
All right, anything else about your week? We just literally just talked about your hat the whole time.
No, it's just Pokemon, man. That's what
Okay.
it is. It's Pokemon and work.
Maddie?
What did I do? I don't know. I'm kind of so focused on this weekend. It's Fan Expo. I'm ready. It's been a while since I've been there, so I'm excited. That's gonna be my whole weekend, probably like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then just kind of lays around. But no, like, you know what's weird? I've almost kind of I get hyped up to go do things, and this is not talking about Fan Expo. This is just like in general, like hanging out with people. I get really hyped up. Someone's like, "Let's go do this," and I get hyped up. I was like, "Yeah, let's go, let's go. It'll be fun." The second it comes around to actually have to go and do the thing, I'm like, "Yo, I just kind of want to lay in bed."
That's because your extroverted self made the plans, and now your introverted self has to go do the plans.
It's not even like an introverted thing. It's not like a lack of desire to hang out with people. It's more of I love sleep, and I'm like, Jim knows this. I can sleep anywhere at any time.
Yeah, we're both kind of like
Like,
that.
yeah, he used to have band practice when we were in high school, and I used to sleep on the couch in front of the amps and the drums and just pass out.
The thing is like for me, I'm always like really down to do stuff, but then when I get to the point, I'm like, I could do this thing, but that also takes away time from me doing this other thing, which is not doing that thing, and just lying there and reading something or fucking whatever, right? So that's my struggle. But I'll be joining this gentleman for 2 of those days and taking the kid down for Thursday, so that'll be fun. I'm gonna let her dress up. She wants to dress up as Mirabelle from Encanto. So
Oh,
I'm gonna let her do it.
I have not seen that movie.
What?
How have you not seen Encanto? I've seen Encanto, for fuck's sake.
I mean, it's
good.
been on the list for a while,
It's really good.
but I'm sure it's great. Like, I love Disney movies. I mean, I went to Disney World literally 2 weeks ago. I just haven't got around seeing it yet.
What about you?
I had a busy weekend. I was in London, Ontario on Friday for Greektown Wrestling, and then I was in Toronto for at Ted Reeve Arena, but not real Ted Reeve Arena, like other Ted Reeve Arena for Greektown Wrestling. And then Sunday, I went and checked out Destiny Wrestling. It was a wrestling-filled week.
I was gonna say, dude, you went off on it, eh?
Then didn't go to Raw.
And then I did not go to Monday Night Raw. No. I used to say you'd have to pay me to go to Monday Night Raw. Like, there's no way I'm going to like buy a ticket to that show. Like, I don't even watch the show on TV. Like, why would I
No.
willingly pay money to go sit in an arena where I cannot change the channel?
Shout out to
But-
Johnny Gargano though. You know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, since Triple H has taken over, Raw has been significantly better. Like, there's a lot of just little things that they're doing that just makes the show seem more exciting, and like,
Yep.
there's always just something going on.
More
Like, when
questions
they do,
than
like,
answers.
pre-tapes in the back now. Like, they're doing an interview with somebody, and like off in the back, like you don't even notice it.
Things
in
are
the background.
happening.
You can see like other characters on the show interacting with each other, doing something, and it's like setting a seed for something else that's happening later.
Well,
Or
maybe
seems
it
like
is,
someone's run
or
by
it's not. Yeah, maybe it is, or maybe it's not. Like sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. There's more questions than answers, which is always the
And
key to a good wrestling program. Is you're constantly giving an answer, but then you're replacing that answer with a question. And
And it just constantly gives you this feeling of like chaos. Like this show is just off the rails, and
which it should
there's
be.
stuff happening.
Like
all
if
the
you
time.
think about
Yeah,
it,
like
wrestling should not be organized, right? I mean, it should be
Well-
in a sense, yes, because they're competing. But at the end of the day, like you have a bunch of guys who have to sit around an arena, like a roster of at least 30, 40 guys. None of them should like each other, right? So like, it's very. There should be always something fucked up happening, right? Like that should be kind of the thing. And I mean that ebbs and flows into like really fucked up versus minor fucked up, but like so like Dexter Loomis is an example. Like it went from minor fucked up to really fucked up. Right? Like he abducted somebody. Like that's
yeah, it sure did.
right? Like that's really fucked up. Rather than just trying to jump over the rail, which is again the build, right? More questions than answers. So but yeah, shout out to Johnny Gargano. That guy kicked me in the face once.
Yes, he did. That was really cool. I wasn't expecting to see that, and I'm happy for him because I think this is probably the best place for him. I think if he went anywhere else, he probably would have been used properly.
The best place given the current situation.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole thing.
2 months ago,
which we don't
not
have,
the best place.
which we don't have time to
No.
talk about. But oh boy, is that ever something going on there? But
Yeah.
you know, that's just the world of professional wrestling. There's always some sort of political thing going on here and there. And I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun this weekend though with Greektown Wrestling, and man, is Eddie Kingston a cool dude.
I've heard he's really fucking cool. Here, you want to hear? You want to hear a quick Smash story about Eddie Kingston?
Okay.
Real quick, I can share these. I didn't sign no NDA. So, when we were looking for faction leader to take out Matt Cross in the title, Eddie Kingston was on the list, and I had contacted him, and he was down. He was ready to go, and then the powers that be in Titan Towers just just decided against it, and then just like never fought, like, and ghosted the guy, like left the man on red, like. And I was like, come on, like the fucking guy is down, and the dude is the type of guy that can sell tickets with a promo. Like he can sell just just through words, right? And it would have been really cool, and I would have thought him and Tarek would have had a great dynamic. I mean, it shook down very well. But, I mean, imagine in the world that would have been in an alternate universe, how much extra noise, like how it went down made noise, but how much extra noise would have been made, because Eddie would probably just go places and just say shit, which creates buzz for you, right? So, yeah, small story, but I've heard he's a cool dude.
Yeah, really cool dude. But yeah, he definitely is the type of guy that'll create buzz everywhere he goes. And something that created a bunch of buzz around the world of baseball this week was the situation in Oakland, California. So let's set the stage here. The Oakland Athletics have probably the worst attendance in the league this year. I could look up the numbers. I don't really need to. If they're not the worst, they're the second worst. And by worst, it's bad. It's like maybe at the most less than 5,000 people per game. And we're talking about not just a baseball stadium, but it's also shared as a football stadium. So it's a very, very large building.
Not anymore.
So when you have that large amount of space, the fans can spread out quite a bit. So there's this video rolling around the interwebs the past few days of a young man, presumably young. The video was taken from very far away, but it was of what appeared to be a young man and what appeared to be a young woman. In the very top row, up in the corner of this massive football/baseball stadium,
which would be like the 500 level at Rogers, right?
The equivalent of the 500 level up in the Rogers Center. And it's difficult to make out exactly what's happening because, again, the video is very far away and you see two small individuals because, I mean, perception. But it appears that this young man had something wrong with the zipper of his pants. So the person that was with him on this particular day was trying to fix the zipper with their teeth. That's what appeared to be what appeared to have happened from my vantage point in that video. So the question now is,
what is the question?
Yeah.
The question is, how much trouble do you think this guy should get into?
Zero.
This guy and the other person. I
None.
don't know.
You should get an award, key to the city of Oakland.
Yeah, zero.
Yeah.
If
This
anything,
dude-
if I'm Oakland, I'm using this to sell tickets, which consequently, I don't know what that word is.
Consequently?
I don't know, man. Consequently, I don't know.
Sure.
Sure, you guys know what I'm trying to say. Fuck it. This isn't an English podcast. The more people that buy tickets, the less you could probably get away with this. So yeah, no, man, it's no different than getting a blowy in the back of the theater, right?
Yeah.
Like, And to be honest, what else are you going to do in an A's game? Watch the team?
That's the sad state of affairs for the Oakland A's, though, where it's like it's that bad. Like the team is bad, sure, but the fact that you have like you're comfortable enough to do that because there's literally no one around you.
Oh no, like at first I was like, what's this guy doing? And I had to, it was repeated watches to understand what was going on. And then I finally caught on. They should do a blowy night in Oakland.
Blowy nights. They
You know
they
what I
only
mean? Like,
they only sell 50 tickets, and then you just spread yourselves out amongst the stadium.
I mean, it'd be more tickets than they've sold so far. People there probably got them for free.
Yeah.
But like, you sell like 100 tickets.
I wonder if they
comes
met
with-
there.
What?
I wonder if they met there, and in mutual boredom, they were like, she was just like, "Hey,"
You want to S my D?
she's like, "Hey, can I suck your dick? Really? Yeah. This game sucks. I might as well too."
But like, do you think she approached him or did he approach her?
I mean, if they went there together, I imagine it's
No, but like, whose idea was it? Like, if they went together,
oh,
think
his
he's like-
for sure,
think so?
for sure. Yeah.
No, I think it was her idea.
What? Really?
Yeah. Okay. Typically, generally, on average, women like sports less than men. So she was probably bored out of her mind to begin with.
Yeah.
And secondly, had she not been like into that sort of thing,
It wouldn't happen.
he would never have asked, or he would be like fucking walking home.
Yeah, but it's guys who
Right.
cut the hole out of the popcorn back in the day.
That's not even a thing. I feel like that's a thing like people
Yeah,
would
no.
joke about when we were kids. Like no one's putting their their unit in
Salty.
hot butter.
But
You know what I mean? Like your bag of popcorn is gonna be warm and it's gonna be covered in butter and salt.
what if it started? What if it started as a guy dropping his wang in a hot dog bun, and he was just like, he's just like, "Yo, I got you a hot dog." And she's
guys
just
are
like, she goes to grab it. She's like, "Oh," and it just goes from there. Like it's just a shitty porno. Like it's just. What if,
Normally when something like this happens,
dude? What if you put it in a foot long bun and it didn't fit? It was too small.
That's what I'm laughing, because that's what I'm saying.
Oh man, imagine how embarrassing that would be. You're just like, I'm gonna put my dick in this hot dog bun.
right here, and it's like it makes it halfway down the bun.
but you would
He
know.
tears,
Like,
he tears the top off the bun.
you're the owner of this thing. Like you're not gonna say like, "Oh, grab me a foot long bun." Like you know what size buns you need.
What if they only have footlongs and you just tear the top
not
off?
true.
You just tear the
Dude,
top
it's a
off.
great-
Every
grandeur, man.
ballpark has normal hot dog buns and
If you're at Rogers, you go down to the $5 thing. You're just like, I need one of these, please.
yes,
Oh, you can eat hot dog night.
dude, you just buy the hot dog and you take out the wiener
And put the wiener in.
and you repurpose the bun.
Oh, I
With
thought you
another
were gonna say repurpose the wiener.
Either way.
Oh man, that's
But
funny.
normally, if you were caught doing something like this, you would be like obviously thrown out of the game, and you would be banned from ever entering again. Do you think the Oakland A's would actually ban this guy? Because like they need the ticket
No,
sales.
They
most
need the publicity.
they've had, positive publicity they've had in how long?
Yeah, and to be honest, like, there's stories of people banging at the Rogers Center, Skydome, in the hotel windows. Like,
Oh yeah,
but what's
Not
okay?
stories,
So what's
like,
the
that happened? That's a real thing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a story, and it's like often.
yeah? But like, what's the difference of that? Like, because that's a hotel room. Technically, that's a private room, right? So like, they can't
I'm
get in
sure
trouble
there's-
for that, can they?
There's got to be something in
There-
the
yeah.
agreement of that hotel.
Like when you purchase the room for however period of time you're there, there's probably some, disclaimer or footnote in the fine print that says you will not do anything when
Dude.
a game is played that could be deemed as
The absolute dream is bottom of the ninth, 2 out, full count, tie game, runner on second, Jays up to bat, and home run to win the World Series, and you finish at the same time. That's the
I knew
dream.
it was where
That's
he
the dream.
Just
We're winners.
World Series.
Right?
What kind of a hero moment would that be, though, eh? Like, that's the things legends are made of. Like, that's a moment that has to be 1 in a million if something like that were to happen.
I mean, maybe that's what this guy was doing. Like, he was watching the game and he wanted to see the Oakland A's win while he,
solidified his
he
moment.
crosses the finish line.
Yeah, we didn't know at what point in the game this was at. So, I imagine it was within
warm
the
up.
first 3
batting
innings. Yeah,
practice.
he's already bored.
He's just no guys hitting him out of the park during batting practice. He's like, fuck this.
Yeah,
Come here.
That's funny though.
Now, there's so many stories though. Yeah, like Jim said, like there's Rogers Center. I'm sure. Well,
the
like
movies
you hear
is notorious for it, right? Movie theaters are
Stampede.
notorious. The Calgary
Stampede.
Yeah, notorious. Dude, the most sexually transmitted disease happens at the Calgary Stampede. It's a fucking
and also most births are 9 months later.
Yeah. So like, there's but that's not at the Stampede
because nothing happens in Calgary. So like when the Stampede rolls through, that's like where all the people go.
The Olympics are bad for it. Like the Olympics, like they just hand out condoms because all the athletes there's so much hormones going around, right?
Well, just think when you're in like with all these athletes that are in peak physical condition and they just got to relieve some stress, or like when they're done their event and they're celebrating, or they've been so focused and trying to achieve this goal, and they're just like, I gotta bang this out.
Yep.
You know what happens. Well, I remember which games was it that was here, the Commonwealth Games, like in 2015 or 2016 or some shit.
Yep.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
no, Pan Am games. Pan Am games.
Out
They're
of
the
York.
Pan Am.
Yeah, and they played out of York and shit. Like the crap that went on, like the Commonwealth villages were a party when it was here. It was nuts.
Well, speaking of putting a wiener in your mouth, there was also another video that was swirling around the interwebs the past couple days, and this one is, I think, less controversial in some ways, but more controversial in other ways. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, I think James is going to try to pull it up and put it on the screen for YouTube. So we don't need the audio. Okay, we'll play the audio as I'm talking about it. So this gentleman has a hot dog. And then at some point you see him. Have you not seen this video before, James? You're reacting like you're...
No, I did. It's different when you see it up close.
On a big monitor.
So if you haven't seen this video, my man has a hot dog, like an actual, like, a wiener in his hand. And he then takes out a straw. Like, I don't know exactly where the straw came from, to be honest. It must have came from another drink that he had. But at the same time, I don't know, because he's drinking beer, right? So it's not like he would have been given this straw. And it was also like a blue or like teal straw. So I wonder if he has this straw, like he brought this straw with him.
Like this is a common occurrence for him?
It has to be. This guy was a pro at what he was doing.
Well, I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, he did it quick.
Okay, so here's the thing. So he pulls out the straw and he pokes the hot dog. Hang on. I understand where it starts again. I know you guys can't see this with me,
so
but
he has the straw and then he
puts it in the hot dog, and then he sucks the straw, and then he puts it in the other end.
So he can't like poke right through it. So again, this guy's a seasoned pro. He's like poking.
He's done this before,
and he extracts everything that's in it, and then sucks out the innards.
Ooh, yeah, ooh, maybe that's what. Ooh, and then you can see shit floating in the beer.
Well, of course, he's putting up. Okay, so let's get to that point.
And he's in Jordans.
So essentially, what he's doing, he's hollowing out the middle of this ballpark Frank with a straw. And then taking this meat casing that now has a hole in it and is dropping it in his beer, and then proceeds to suck on the wiener and presumably drink the beer. Like I guess I can't really see the beer go down his throat, but he is using
But he's done this
a
before.
hot dog as a straw.
Okay.
So my question to you is: now this man, I don't know, I can't see his face. I don't know what this man does for a living. I don't know what's going on in his life.
He's got Jordans.
That's what I was just gonna say. The man's wearing Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a member of society. Like,
What do you? Okay, so first of all, I want to know the guy who recorded this. Great timing. Like how did he pull out his phone? He's like, oh, this is gonna happen.
well, because I bet this guy was goofing around with like they were probably looking over at him, and he had the bun, or who knows what happened to the bun in this
Or
situation.
maybe this
right?
is the
Like, he
third
bought
one.
This hot dog.
Maybe this is his third.
Maybe he's been doing this all night. Maybe it's
Yeah.
the 7th inning, and the man's already downed like 2 beer dogs. But at some point, he would have discarded the bun, or maybe he ate the bun. Maybe they're looking over and like, why is this man eating just the bun? And like he's some sort of 6-year-old child who's eating a McChicken and doesn't want to like eat it all together. So she just eats the bread and then the McChicken nugget after that.
So okay, so here's the question: is this a try or don't try?
Absolutely not. You don't try that.
I don't know. I kind of want to try that.
You don't try
Zero
that.
shot.
I kind of want to try it. I would never do it in public.
No, I do
that's-
at home. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be seen in case I like it.
It depends. It depends. Like, if my outfit and my gear is on point, I'll do it in public because people got to see. But like, if this is just me and my comfy shorts in at-home attire, absolutely not. Like, I don't
So
want
you'd
people.
rather do this in public than you would at home.
No, like I would do it at home, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it depends on like what I'm wearing at the time.
Okay.
Like if I was wearing some like the Dior Jordans and I was in public and that was like my only opportunity to ever try that, then yeah, I would do it. But like if I was just in like bullshit shoes, I'd be like, fuck it, no.
They're not paying you. Like Nike's not paying you. Like this is not a chance
Hey,
for social
just do
media.
it. Just make your hot dog straw.
That's
Like I remember doing this with Twizzlers.
yeah, I would
when I
do
was
this
a
with
kid.
Twizzlers and Coke.
Yeah.
point.
Like I remember that. Or like I'll be the first dude to say, I like dill pickles on a peanut butter sandwich. It's great. I love it.
Good. Dill
So,
pickles.
like-
yeah, it's great. Toast toast
Dustin's processing.
Yeah, I can't
toast the
say I've
bread.
ever done that.
toast the bread,
Yeah.
butter, peanut butter, pickles, go to town.
Oh, you're putting butter and peanut butter?
Yeah. And then pickles.
No.
It's great.
No, I know a lot of British people do that, where they put butter on their bread and then they put the peanut butter.
Yeah.
I used to do that.
Just put the peanut butter.
No, it's wonderful.
I used to because it used to get stuck to the roof of my mouth when I was a kid and it would freak me out. So my mom started putting butter on the bread because it helped stop the peanut butter from getting
And then-
stuck to the roof of my mouth.
My like weird fucked up food is you take a crumpet and then you put butter on it and then Caesar salad dressing. And it's fucking fantastic.
That's not that crazy though. Like
No?
no, like what about remember the broad that dipped her chicky tendies in the Coke and she got caught on camera at a basketball game or something or a baseball game or some shit? You don't remember her?
That sounds familiar.
And then
I
she
do.
like realized that she was on camera and she got like really embarrassed and she like put the chicken tender down and she just kind of smiled and waved at the camera.
That sounds very familiar, actually. I do remember this.
Yeah. Like or
That's not
try-
as strange, though.
well, like I don't know if you think about it, like if you're gonna take a bite of your hot dog and then a sip of your beer, isn't that just the same thing?
No, we can't go down this road because there's so many things that you eat separately that aren't designed to be eaten together. It's like I'm gonna have breakfast, okay? And I'm gonna have a glass of milk with my breakfast. All right, so might as well dip my bacon in my milk then. Like, what's the difference?
Bacon and milk?
I'm just saying it's the same comparison of like, well, I'm gonna eat it anyways. It's like, yeah, we eat a lot of things.
Yeah, but
Some things just don't go together.
bacon and sweet things do go good together.
So you're telling me right now you're gonna dip your bacon in your milk next time you have breakfast?
If it was chocolate milk, yeah.
Chocolate milk now. This is getting off. This is getting crazy. This is
No.
like this is like a brainstorming session for the X and their food.
Why do I feel like Dustin's that one dude who has never tried dipping his fries in a Frosty and then yells at everyone else who's
No,
done
he
it and
hates it.
loves it?
You're the one who hates it, aren't you?
I don't hate it. I've done it when I was a kid.
I
'cause
Tarek
I think
hated
all
it.
kids.
Tarek hates
I think
it.
all kids did it.
When we were one
maybe
time we
Tarek
were
does,
at
I
the
don't
place.
know.
One time we were at that
It's not my
place
day to watch him. I don't know what he's up to.
in Whitby. You know that place on Consumers Road in Whitby where they have the Wendy's and the New York fries and the stop. We were there one
Yep.
day on the way somewhere. I forget where we were going, and I
We're
had
probably
got
going to a wrestling show in Oshawa, Ontario.
You're right. That's true. And I dipped my fries in Frosty. He's like, what the fuck is up with you, man? I'm like, dude, it's good. Try. He's like, no, you're fucking crazy. And like 5 other people there were like, it's good. He's like, it's fucking gross. To this day.
It's the whole sweet and salty thing.
Damn.
I wouldn't say it's gross. I mean,
I'm gonna go
I
after
did it
the
when I was
show.
a kid. But I wouldn't do it again as an adult.
What? The fuck's wrong? Okay, so there's nothing you eat that's fucked up. There's nothing you eat that's like, that's weird.
I like doing a handful of glossettes and a handful of popcorn when I'm at the movie theater, like chocolate covered raisins and popcorn. It's awesome.
I think I just have too refined of a palate. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
I honestly I can't think of anything that I eat that's weird.
You don't put
Dustin's
like
what we call a
potato chips in your
douche
ham sandwich? We used to salt and vinegar potato chips in your ham and
Yes.
mustard sandwich?
on the ham sandy.
Okay, so again, that's another British thing that my parents did at one point. They always like. I remember we used to go to Ontario Place and we would have lunch like we had like sandwiches in a cooler. So like it was lunchtime. We left the park, went to our car.
So we
and
did
ate
that
our
too.
Sandwiches.
We did
At
that too at
Wonderland.
Wonderland. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that at Wonderland too. But I'm just envisioning that parking lot at Ontario Place. But I always remembered them taking chips and putting it in their sandwich, and the sandwich was like a ham sandwich or something.
So sometimes I think this is now. Look, I'm gonna have to switch this now. Sometimes
That's not inherently weird though.
Sometimes I think though now, like when I take my kid to Wonderland, I'll like buy her lunch there and myself lunch, and then I think back to when I was a kid and like they bought. I'm like, am I richer than my parents? Like I start thinking like
No, we're just dumber.
that's it. We're just dumb.
more irresponsible with our money.
Yeah, we're just way more irresponsible. So
Because you also got to remember, our parents owned houses when
That's
they were
true.
like 27.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
also
the houses were also $27,000.
Yo, real talk, my grandparents bought their house. This is in like Young and Finchish type area in the residential suburb area back in 1959 for $16,000. Buddy,
You can't get a used car for $16,000.
no, you can't.
dude. The
Like,
prices
not
of
e-
used cars have gone up too. It's fucking
It's crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
I could probably make some serious money off my 2015 Civic, 100%. I
Make
could
money.
probably no, like what'll happen is if I sold it privately, I could probably get less than what a dealer would get for it, but more than what the blue book value of it is.
Mm.
It'd be
But
like
anyway.
a happy medium. But
Gross foods.
I digress. Gross foods? No. Like there's some that I just will not touch. Anything with beans really in it. I don't like beans. I don't
You know,
like
the thing is, I don't think I could bring any of the things that I eat like that to a game. Like like mashed 2 things. I don't think there's anything at a game that I could create. You know, like I don't think there's anything.
This
That
thing is
messed
so
up.
crazy and off the wall. Like there probably is another example, but like we're not in the we're not in the right brain mind to figure that out right now.
we're not on the
But-
right 4chan sub channel for it.
I'm sure there's got to be something. Like I imagine like the example you're using with the fries and the Frosty, like you could just get the little, Blue Jays helmet full of soft serve and then go get a plate
Yeah.
of fries and dip away.
Yeah,
Not the same.
I know it's not the same, but it's
dude.
still
Every time you bring
weird.
that up, it's another inch closer that I'm going to Wendy's after the show.
No, you're not. Don't do it.
Honestly, man, Wendy's is pretty great.
Yeah, I will say on the ranking of fast food burgers, McDonald's doesn't hit top 2.
Okay, hold on a minute. So
Okay,
maybe
this
we
is
need
no. This has
mark
got to be a
that
top
down.
5 another day. No, this can't
That's
be.
what I'm saying. Like, I need to write this down for top 5 fast
Next
food.
week?
I mean,
Next
it can't
week?
be. Top
Yeah,
5
what-
fast food. So do you want to do fast food restaurants or do you want to do fast food items or I don't know. I'm just write fast food something.
I would say if we do restaurants, we have to keep it to like chains.
Big
You
chains.
can't
Yes, I
be
agree.
like, I want fucking Johnny's at
Yeah,
Vic
Jack
Park and
Astor's
Finch.
Jack Astor's pan bread. It's like,
Yeah,
no.
no, that doesn't fucking count. It has to be like the big chains. Could be like a Mary Brown's, Popeyes, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, shit like that. I
Yeah,
think items would be easier because
And
there's
items
more
would allow you to
variety.
pick multiple things from a restaurant, which makes it way
Yeah,
more difficult.
okay.
yeah.
We'll discuss that because I think that would be a huge topic of conversation because I
Oh,
think
there.
there's gonna be some heated opinions there.
Oh, 100%. I already know one of the ones Jim's gonna pick, and it pisses me off as it is.
I mean, we've already gone down the road of the dipping sauces for the chicken nuggies,
Which
Yeah.
everyone was wrong.
but okay, maybe we'll talk about that next week and crown an undisputed champion of fast food. But in the meantime, we did crown an undisputed champion in World Juniors hockey. And that, of course, is Team Canada. And I know in recent years they haven't been as successful as they have been normally. It almost seems like it's just expected for them to medal in the World Juniors, considering, of however many years they've been doing this, Canada has like 34 medals. It's like 19 gold and 10 silver and 5 bronze. It's the next closest team to have like to their 19 gold is the United States with 5. So
The numbers are stupid.
Which all
yeah,
came in the
it's
last, like,
10
post
years.
2000s, I believe.
right. Like Canada's just been dominant for a okay, you know what? I say a lie because the United States did 5, Russia did 4, but the Soviet Union did 8. So in fairness, we'll say Russia had 12 gold medals, but even then they're still 7 short of Canada. I didn't watch this game because it's still weird to me. Well, first of all, it happened over the weekend when I was in my wrestling weekend, so I was away at some point. And I don't know about you guys, but I think it's strange for this tournament to be happening in August. It's nice.
it.
I'm not saying it's not nice, but like it's weird because this tournament normally happens on Boxing Day and goes through to the New Year holiday. And now it's just, an afterthought almost. But holy hell, was that like possibly the best game saving effort you've ever seen in a game. Like we're not just, so if you haven't seen it, it was
Mason McTavish.
Mason McTavish.
yeah, it was Mason McTavish who cleared the puck off the line. But it wasn't like he cleared the puck off the line. The puck was in the air and it was in overtime and it would have been the game winner, and not just the game winner, but the gold medal winner that he saved off the line in midair. And he also happens to be the captain of the team. Like that might be. I don't think you can recreate that in a dream. Like if someone was writing this story, there would be an editor's room that said, "Nope, that's too ridiculous. Like, let's take one more element away from that." Like maybe it should be a diving play instead of him batting the puck out, or maybe it should be earlier in the game, or maybe it shouldn't be like the actual moment at the end of the movie. Maybe it should have happened earlier in the movie. Whatever the case, like this would never get past the writers' room.
The only way that it would have been more unbelievable is if there was a guy and a chick in the last row, and as he bats the puck out of the air, he's just like, yes.
Stop.
Honestly, though, like it's unreal, especially because, I mean, you did. I guess I'm not sure. Like you said, how much of you watch, or if you're just picking up on highlights after your busy wrestling weekend, but he cost that 3-on-1. Like it was his play that cost the 3-on-1. And what's the number one rule of who's the fastest skater on the ice, Jim?
Is
The one who caused the issue.
Yeah, exactly. And he got back. He didn't give up on the play. A lot of guys probably would have made an effort, but would have been resigned to the game's over, and got back. Puck's floating in midair, bats it down. Doesn't just bat it down, but it goes onto the line and is bobbling there. And then he swipes it away. And then I think it's like right after they move the puck up, guys change, and game.
What about the patience though on Kent Johnson? Like the second effort.
How often do guys just one tap that puck to the net?
And they turn and they peel, right? Like guys will peel thinking the play is going the other way. It takes a certain kind of player to keep, like, either to slow down to stay in the play because either they've gone past the net or they're starting to peel and turn and go the other way. So it takes, like, you have to have a certain commitment to the play and the understanding that there are second chances. Like, not, I think that was an older thing that would happen. Is a lot of the, like, you don't see that as much in today's game. Guys who kind of plant themselves like there because, I mean, hypothetically, if you get caught the other way, you're starting from nothing. But yeah, crazy. Like the toe drag and even the pass.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is the pass that was made, and shit, I forget his name. Stankoven, how he made, like, so there's a couple things on the play. One, the lack of awareness of the Finnish defenseman to realize there's a Canadian player coming in and to overcommit on Stankoven like that when Kent Johnson's coming down on the open side like that. Two is when the Finnish defenseman takes the player with the puck, a lot of the time the guy would get shoved, and like you said, it's okay if you don't want to risk the puck turning over, especially there if he already knows Johnson's with him. That puck goes the other way, or you fan on that, it's another 3-on-1 the other way. And surviving a second 3-on-1 is very unlikely, especially in overtime with tired guys. So to have the wherewithal to stop, turn around, and take a quick look and throw a backhand pass like that to Kent Johnson like that was nuts.
Ballsy.
Oh yeah. It was I watched the game, and it's one of those things where that might go on collectively both the McTavish save of the game into the play that leads to the goal. It might go down as one of like the coolest like top 10 international hockey moments for like the men
I
that
mean,
I've seen in a while.
it's up there with
Everly?
yeah, Russia missing the open net and
Yeah.
then it going the other way.
Or I always think of this one is fucking Patrick Steffen. You
Yeah.
remember that shit?
Of course. How can you forget where he had the breakaway on the empty net and missed the net, and the puck went the other way? And
He slipped, didn't he?
He slipped on the breakaway, fell
Yeah.
behind
No,
the net.
after I
and
think,
then-
didn't he?
No, like yeah, he missed the net and then he turned around to panic and he slipped.
Right.
And then was it Ales Hemsky?
Alex Hemsky and Sean Horkoff.
God damn.
And that wasn't that in the playoffs?
I mean, very well could have been, because I feel like the game ended once the shot happened, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was an overtime. But
Yeah, or
maybe
it was
it's
to
an
tie
overtime
it.
game.
I think it was to tie it. Yeah, it went
Right,
the other
I
way.
don't think that. Yeah, that's a good.
Because it was
point. I don't
empty net.
think- Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Patrick Steffen, and he was a high draft pick too.
Number 1, buddy.
He's first overall.
Yeah.
But that's like arguably one of the biggest busts in history.
I don't know about that.
No,
There's
there's-
got to been guys who played less NHL games than he did. Like, he was still an NHL player.
Well, who
He's
is
no
it?
Alexander Dag.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
Nail
Alexander
Yakupov.
Dag. Nail Yakupov.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's been some bad ones. I know we like to beat up on Stefan because he had that, embarrassing moment, but he still had a decent NHL career.
Yeah, I'm watching it now, and what I'm watching is Marty Turco talk about being in net for that goal.
Probably
'Cause he was
losing
the
his
Dallas
mind.
goalie.
Losing his mind.
Oh, he was just like, he had just said, I could not believe what just happened.
I would imagine that I think Dallas still won the series, but like still.
Yeah, you know what though? That was a different time in hockey, man. That was crazy time. But yeah, oh man, I'm just thinking of that. That's kind of one of those moments that kind of stay with you. But man, I kind of like the juniors in August, man. I'm not gonna lie. I know Christmas tradition, especially like I'm not sure how like much you watch it during Christmas there, Dustin. But I know for us, it's like a family affair. We
Yeah,
go
like,
to
I
my
would-
dad's.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say I always watch it.
Yeah, we go to my dad's and it's like my brother's there, I'm there. A lot of the time it's, my uncle or my cousin might be there and, the wifey's there. Jim, you know, remembers all of this for years. And as much as I like it around Christmas and it's cool, it's kind of like a cool taste test for going into the NHL season.
I think it's a cool hockey stopgap when there's no hockey, right? Like
Yeah.
the juniors happens usually just the holiday break when there's no hockey, but that holiday break is a lot shorter than the summer. Um, and guys have to be pulled out of their teams, their regular season crap to do this. So I don't. I think it actually makes more sense here, but I get why it's in the
No,
winter.
I would definitely agree. They probably well, not necessarily logistically, but in terms of the players and not having to take a break from their team, and at least from a viewer perspective, it makes a lot of sense to have it now when there isn't hockey happening.
Also, like patio juniors, man. Like it was kind of
And
cool.
that's a great point too. Like being able to sit outside and watch a hockey game is a cool, novel concept as well.
Yeah.
Now, now people down south might be like, "Well, we watch, Tampa Bay Lightning games," as if anyone watches, hockey in Florida. But you get the idea. Like people in southern United States have that ability to all year round sit outside and watch a game. But
We get
obviously
we
up to
get like
Canada.
2 months of patio weather
Two
to sit
minutes.
out,
You have 2
right?
minutes.
And really only until like 10:30 at night because even during the summer, 10:30 at night here, it gets fucking cold some nights in August.
And all the
So,
bugs come out.
yeah, but I like it. I think the only thing, and this doesn't really matter because whether you played at Christmas or in August, the concern is still there that guys could get hurt, which I get it because they're gonna go right into training camp in like 2 weeks, right? So
Yeah,
some of
would you
these
rather
guys,
have them hurt into training camp or hurt into midseason? Like
and that's the thing is if a guy like Mason McTavish is putting up 10 goals and 15 assists by Christmas and he goes off to the juniors, although that would never happen if he's putting up those numbers in a rookie season. But hypothetically, if he does, Anaheim's not going to want him to go.
yeah,
They're going to be scared shitless that the dude's going to get injured. Um, the one other crazy thing about this, though, 11 of these players can come back in December. 11. Like Connor Bedard, Mason McTavish, you know, the two figureheads of this team arguably can come back in 4 or 5 months and do this again
imagine
in
winning
Halifax.
two in 6 months.
Sorry?
Imagine winning 2 medals in 6 months.
Yeah, imagine winning 2 junior golds in 6 months. But, I mean, like I said, I liked it. I thought it was kinda cool. It'd be nice to see if maybe they kind of look at transitioning it, but TSN would never let that happen.
Yeah, I don't. It's too much of the ratings alone are more valuable in December than it would be
Yep.
in August
Yeah.
because, like as you just mentioned, like your whole family gets around and you're all going to be
And
together for Christmas
all
anyways.
live
The
sports
amount of
is
homes,
is
yeah,
done in that period.
yeah, the amount of homes watching that game or those games during that time is astronomical compared to anything that airs on a sports network in August.
Yeah, and you're not competing with again, in the States with things like baseball. You're not competing with the lead up to the NFL. Like, it's not lost on me that NFL preseason does better numbers than NHL games, I'm sure.
Then the Stanley Cup
And
probably.
oh, yeah. So, you're not competing with shit like that, right?
No. And we would like to congratulate our Canadian juniors for yet another championship, and we expect to see another championship this
6
coming
months.
January.
Before you move on,
But
sorry, just
go ahead.
before you move on, it's one thing you did say leading up to that, and it's probably a topic we can discuss as we get to the next juniors. I think it would be good, but to think that these kids, the expectation, and they're kids, like they're 17, 18, they have no idea
16
how the world works yet.
sometimes.
Yeah. And the amount of expectation that it's not just, you're going there and you're going to compete for, you're like a US or you're Finland or Sweden, where they're going to say you're going to go in there and you're going to be, in the top 4 or 5 to compete for a medal. It's in this country, it's gold or bust. Like if you get silver, that's a failure. And for those kids to be able to wade through that pressure, playing at home in Edmonton and then having to do this again in Halifax and kind of block out the noise and things like that, especially with everything going on with Hockey Canada right now, like good on those guys.
Well, I
So
mean, they only had to block out the noise in one game. It's not like anyone fucking attended the others. So
I know well, that's also too because they wanted primetime games and 7 o'clock for Canada and it's 4 o'clock in Edmonton and people can't make it. So yeah.
busy
Yeah, a
drinking.
lot of those games look like it was a Arizona Coyotes game. And I mean, I don't want to. I kind of want to talk about the mullet thing, but let's not go there. Briefly, the new name of the stadium for the Coyotes is the Mullet Stadium or something, and
Mullet Arena.
Yeah, Mullet Arena, whatever. That's a topic for another day. But what did happen over the last week that I think is worth talking about is something that we hypothesized on this very show. Something that James called out and said, you know what? I think Nazem Kadri would fit in very well with the Calgary Flames. And lo and behold, because I know Nazem Kadri listens to this show, so what's up, Naz? And I bet he heard James Key say such a thing, and he said, you know what? That's a really good idea. Got on the phone to his agent. They made some calls. And next thing you know, 7 years, $49 million for Nazem Kadri, making him the highest paid player on the Calgary Flames as of right now. And at least in terms of cap hit. Obviously, next year when Huberdeau's contract begins, he will no longer be the highest paid player. But nevertheless, like that's a significant piece to add to this Calgary Flames team. And then, of course, because of this move and their cap situation they were already in, Sean Monahan got shipped out to the Montreal Canadiens. And I know at least I did hypothesize that maybe Milan Lucic was the guy going out the door. I didn't consider Monahan. But they did essentially what we said they were going to do. The Calgary Flames signed Nazem Kadri, and they moved $6.25 million somewhere else so they can fit Kadri under the book. So my question here is, the Calgary Flames right now, are they better than last year's team, or is last year's team better with Tkachuk and Johnny Hockey?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that not only did we call Kadri, and by we I mean me, going to the Flames, I'm pretty sure we talked, like that was the contract number that had been tossed around for the Islanders and stuff.
Yeah, I think I said the number of what he'll probably sign for wherever he goes.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I mean the Flames just made sense because they had to replace what they lost, and Kadri gets to go back to Canada. Like, I think there's a lot to like about Calgary, even sans Tkachuk and Gaudreau, right? Like, especially when you see Huberdeau get there, you're like, okay, Huberdeau, great distributor, just like Gaudreau, right? Bigger body, but, also had a hard season. But then you look at goaltending, Markstrom, hell of a goaltender. You look at the other pieces they have up front, right? They've got a very stable group of forwards with Mangiapane, backlit. Like there's guys there.
Elias Lindholm, man.
Elias Lindholm, that is a stable core. So you're not going into a mess. And you actually
Lindholm
helped stabilize
42 goals. Lindholm scored 42 goals last season.
Right. So, and you look at a guy like Naz, who probably has wanted the opportunity to be a more important player than he has been. And this is kind of that chance, right? Like, he was pretty important in Colorado, but he's even more important now in Calgary. Like, this could be his legacy, is what he does in Calgary. Like, they don't have to win a cup, but if he's an 85, 90 point player in Calgary, woo, like, do the opinions change on that guy, right? Like, I think they're different, but I think they're different but the same. Like, Uyghur is not good Branson, but I think he's obviously more mobile. And like I said, Huberdeau kind of replaces the playmaking of Gaudreau. Naz kind of replaces the dickheadedness of Tkachuk a little bit. Like, they actually kind of replaced the two guys with very similar players, if you think about it.
Yeah, I just think the tough part is the age of Naz. When this contract's over, he'll be what, like 36 or older.
Oh no, I 100% agree with that. Like they're going to be paying for this contract 5 years from now, but right now,
For the next 3 years, it's a great contract. If
yeah.
he can stay healthy and keep his head on and not get tossed out in the playoffs. Um, and I know that's a running joke sometimes with him, but at the same time, it happened twice with the Leafs and then the first year with Colorado. And so he had this year where he
And
was
the
hurt.
Bennington.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. So it's one of those things where you're just like, if he can keep his head on, it's great for 3, maybe 4 years. But it's also very similar to Zach Hyman, where come year 5 of that deal, it does not look good.
Well, especially guys who play
Especially,
that type of game, right? Like they're not the same
yeah.
player 5 years from when they signed those deals.
Well, this isn't a guy like Nylander who avoids contact. This is a guy who seeks contact and plays very heavily in front of the net.
And actively
So,
draws punishment. Like
mhm.
he draws penalties, right? Like that's kind of what his gimmick is he's a shit disturber, right? And shit disturbers take punishment. So, they dish it out, but they take it too. And I mean, I think he's also going to be counted upon as a leader in Calgary, which is different than probably some of the other roles he's had. So I was wondering if his mentality changes. Daryl Sutter, like we're talking about a different coach.
Yeah,
He
cut the
play, but
shit
he
real
plays a
quick.
responsible defensive game. So like, it's possible that he fits right in. You know,
It's
I
more
always
the
thought it's a
attitude.
good fit.
I think it's a fantastic fit, to be honest.
Like
I
I said,
think
I like it for 3 years, but
right, but you know what? Anything can happen in
But they win a
like that
cup in
fifth
three
year, right?
years.
Like
No one gives a shit.
they could, like the CBA will expire between now and then who knows? Like they'll go into a lockout, and then when they come out of the lockout, Kadri's contract may be up, or they may give teams the
5 year
ability
lock.
to have that like free, buyout period, like the Leafs use for
oh,
Grabowski and
the
whatever.
2 buyouts
Yeah,
thing.
so there's ways that they can maneuver this. They could always trade him somewhere else as well. Like there's always a GM who's dumber than you are.
They
Like
took
I'm
Sean
sure,
Monahan, right? Like Sean
right? Like they
Monahan.
dumped Monahan, who could possibly never play a hockey game ever again in his life, coming off like hip surgery. So, and that was $6.25 million they just gave away to Montreal. Now they paid for it. Like obviously they gave up the draft picks to do that, but there's that opportunity as well. Like by year 6, year 7 of this contract,
Yeah,
where
there's a
Kadri's making
price.
$7 million,
There's always a price you can
and
pay
he's
to get yourself out of it, right? Like, and
right.
so if they're willing to pay that, I find it interesting. Like, not to go too much off topic here, I actually thought Montreal would have made sense for Kadri too, but they're in a world of what the fuck, Montreal, right? Like between Price and like acquiring, like I know they're acquiring guys to go on
And
LTIR,
Drouin.
right? But like you can have all the incremental cap relief you want, but not, you still don't have anyone that plays for you, right?
They
Like
have
it's
$22 million in injured reserve right now.
Well,
fuck.
who's going to play defense for that team?
What, Montreal?
Yeah.
You got Jordan Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Like,
Exactly.
who Megalol? No, but realistically, and I know everyone praised Kent Hughes and whatever for what he did at the draft and,
Yeah, great draft.
being he did this, he did that, but it's arguably the same thing with baseball, albeit hockey's easier to prognosticate when it comes to prospects and things like that. But at this point, guys are still just prospects. You can draft all the guys you want. Boston had 3 straight first round picks,
Fuck that up.
13, 14, 15. They fucked up 2 of them. And then
And one guy doesn't
Montreal,
want to play for them.
yeah. And Montreal, Kakanyemi,
Well,
fucked it up.
Montreal is synonymous with whoever they draft in the first round won't be with the team 2 years from now. So it
I was
doesn't.
gonna
So
say since like 20 whatever the fuck, they haven't
There's
had
Carey
a
Price.
first rounder that plays for them. And
Yes.
but here's the thing. They have to be right now it's a 12 round boxing match between Chicago and Montreal for Bedard. Like I think
yeah,
they both want that, and boy, can you imagine Gary Bettman
Well,
if Montreal gets it.
the boner he'll have if Bedard goes to Montreal,
No, he'll be pissed.
the money that it'll make for the league.
Yeah, but
No,
he wants to grow that somewhere.
yeah, like the money is
He would have a
going
bigger
into
boner if he
Montreal
ended up in
regardless.
Phoenix.
There's dudes in Montreal right now walking around with a Mike Hoffman jersey. Like they are so happy and into
Jeff
every
Petrie.
player. Yeah, they don't. They're happy to have the guys that they have, and they will spend boatloads of money on that team because the crest on the front means so much to them. Whereas
It's the same as
in
Toronto.
Chicago,
We get excited about fucking everybody.
100%. Like I'm not like pejoratively saying that about Montreal fans. Like our Maple Leafs fans are the same way. I just mean like that market is so ingrained in hockey and loves that team so much. It doesn't matter if they get a next superstar. That next superstar needs to go to a city that needs to rebuild, and by rebuild I mean a team that needs to uplift the NHL. And like a better Montreal doesn't make the NHL's numbers better. A better Chicago Blackhawks will make the NHL's numbers better.
Which, remember when the Blackhawks were shit? And like
Yeah.
they were shit for so long and they had zero attendance. And then they got good and won cups, and then it's hard to remember when they were shit and had no attendance. But it's gonna go that way again.
For Chelios days and they were trash.
Right. But it's gonna go that way again. And that's the thing, like as much as Bettman probably wants to grow markets like Arizona, it probably way worse to have markets like Chicago falter. Right?
Well,
like you have to keep that up.
Any of the original 6 are propping up the NHL for those 6 teams are probably propping up the bottom 6 teams for sure. Like Toronto does that on their own. Same with Montreal.
In rev share,
right? Yeah.
But like,
So
you're right.
I think the
Boston
best case scenario
sucks,
would be Bedard to go to Seattle, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean that's definitely a
An
possibility.
expansion team, they get a first overall pick. It's Connor Bedard, who's
They're doing decent business.
Yeah, who's considered a potentially generational type player. You know, I think for them, for the league, that would be the best thing because you don't want a phenom of the level of Connor Bedard playing at a university stadium for his first 3 years.
That might look.
You know what I mean? That's not a good look. So I think they're resigned to say, we'll tough out this Phoenix thing or Arizona thing for a few more years. But if it happens and Bedard goes to Seattle, they will be happy as a pig in shit.
I think I don't know, James. I think you did mention this. Like it was a boxing match between Montreal and Chicago to see who's going to get Bedard.
Yeah.
I think it could be Chicago because they're also flirting with trading away Patrick Kane. And also looking at Chicago's draft picks this year, like they have their first round and Tampa's first round. They have their first round and Tampa's second round. They have their third round and Dallas's third round. It's like they have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds.
That's nuts.
And then imagine if they do end up trading Patrick Kane, they're going to get a first round pick at least, right? So they could potentially have 3 first round picks in this draft. And even if they're not the worst team in the league, like they're at least saying we have, 10% of the picks in the draft. Like we have a very good chance of landing Connor Bedard. So we just briefly talk about this because this came up in the Toronto news cycle, and I don't believe it for a second, but supposedly the Maple Leafs are in on Patrick Kane. Now, if you read exactly what they said, if you could interpret that differently, where the headline kind of said like Kyle Dubas, general manager of Toronto Maple Leafs, has brief conversation with Blackhawks about Patrick Kane. Now that brief conversation could have been, oh wow, they're talking and they're going to talk more. Or the brief conversation was, hey, we want Austin Matthews in return, and he hung up the phone.
Hey dude,
So
what are you looking? What's it going to take to get Patrick Kane? I haven't really thought about that yet. Okay, call me. Like that's the end of it. Like that could
also be it too.
Yeah, and given the Leafs cap situation, to be honest, you would have to retain if you're Chicago
100%.
50% of that
100%. I mean, yeah, by 100%,
Yeah.
I 100% I agree with you.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
they could make it work with
50%.
25. They could make it work with 25. Not
Okay,
that you
so to
want
give
them
you
to.
an idea of numbers for those of you listening, Patrick Kane's making 10 million. Let's call it 10 million to make life easy. I think it's 10.5 million, but let's call it 10. If like James is saying, 25% is retained, that's $7.5 million
That's
on the
easily.
Maple Leafs cap. So then the question is, as Maddie's bringing up Nylander, and I know I don't want to say Nylander's going. Okay, this is ridiculous. If you ask me right now, would I rather have Patrick Kane or William Nylander? It's William Nylander. Like hard stop. Like because Patrick Kane.
How many Stanley Cup winning goals has William Nylander scored?
Is at the end of his career.
Patrick Kane also only has this year left on your contract, and then you get $8 million in cap space at the end of the season.
Yes, you would, but Nylander. The thing with Nylander.
Yeah, he beat you.
Affordable. Nylander is an affordable contract, and for a team that is significantly dealing with cap issues, having a guy who can produce like he produces. I know everyone has criticisms for Nylander, and they're warranted, but find me another guy like William Nylander, who's going to score the points that William Nylander scores for $6.9 million.
But here's the
thing. You won't find him.
The Chicago retains, and we've had this, Patrick Kane.
It will still be more money for Patrick Kane if they retain 25%. If they retain 50%, I understand your point. But you also have Nylander under control for another year at 6.9.
So here's the thing. For all the reasons that you just said, and this is what we said before, makes him valuable externally too, right? And you can get multiple pieces in return. Like the other hot rumor was Nylander to Arizona for Chychrun, right? Like you can weave that into pieces that make you better. Jacob Chychrun makes this team better than with him on it than William Nylander does, because we don't need more scoring.
Chychrun's a number Chychrun's a number one defenseman.
Okay, I mean,
right? Who plays a tougher game than the rest of the defensemen on this roster currently.
And he's under contract for like 4 more years at 4.25.
Yes.
That I like.
Right?
That gets me.
But you're not.
I might have to get a new pair of pants thinking about it.
And you're not just doing Nylander for Chychrun. Like that's not how it's going to go.
No.
It's going to be,
of course not,
bigger.
It's
right?
Nylander plus. Like
Nylander,
it's Nylander
Hall,
prospect to pick.
Nylander, Hall, Chychrun, and Barrett Hayton maybe. Like there's ways. Barrett Hayton needs a contract.
No, I know, but I'm just like, that's just a random name you pulled out of nowhere.
Well, do you think it's possible they could get both done?
No.
So work with me here. What if it's Patrick Kane to the Maple Leafs, and going the other way is Alex Kerfoot, Justin Hall, a first, and Sandin? Do you think that package is enough for Chicago to say yes?
Potentially, because Kane's got 1 year left, and if he's deciding to move on, or they know he's not going to resign, you take what you can get at that point, and he'll have a fair amount of control of where he goes. So if he says, I want to go play with Matthews for this last season, then I think something like that can get it done. Now, if you're talking about doing both, you might be giving up too many assets in that deal to get Chychrun done, because the return for Chychrun might be Sandin might have to be part of that deal. That conversation may start with Sandin and expand from there.
To be honest, I actually think if you can do it that way and it's Nylander 1-for-1 for Chychrun, now you have this paring down of the overflow of things into better pieces. And the only problem is for all of that for me is we're still not fleshing out the roster, right? Like,
well, if you do both, you are
sort of, but I mean from the forward group. My concern is still that like who plays with Tavares and Kane or Bunting. Like there was still nobody there, right?
Well, no, because
that's why I don't want to lose Nylander, because you're going to see a massive hole in this lineup.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Who plays with Nylander and Tavares right now?
That's already an issue.
Right. That's right. Right. That's what I'm saying. But you could potentially parlay Nylander into 2 pieces, or a Hall and Kerfoot Nylander, all 3 of them into multiple pieces that make you better. It's just a matter of how you work that out. Because if you think about it collectively, that's what, $12-ish million. That could be
between what? What's
Nylander, Hall, and Kerfoot.
Oh, so Nylander's about 7. We'll say Hall is 2. That's 9, and Kerfoot is 3.5. So
yeah, that's
11.
Four $3.5 million players, right?
So if you get both, and knowing that you're not going to have to pay Sandin, you're shipping out those guys, and you're getting a defenseman and Kane if they retain half at 9.5 million, roughly, give or take 10
The,
million
mo-
rounded up, just to be safe.
the money works. I guess the question is, can you actually flip one
Yeah,
for
like
one
this is all
Nylander
pie
for
in the sky.
Chychrun, which you probably can't.
Well,
Right.
no, like it wouldn't be a 1-for-1. It would just be probably you would be looking at Nylander and a mid-level prospect, somebody like a Justin Robertson, and maybe like a second or third round pick or something like
Nick
that.
Robertson, you mean?
Nick Robertson, to get that done. And then on the other end for Chychrun, you're probably looking at Sandin, a first, and another prospect, and potentially a third round pick or something like that to get that done.
Would you
So
do
you're
Would you do Nyes in any of those deals?
absolutely not. That's a hard stop. That's a Scotty Barnes version of the Leafs prospect pool to me.
I am willing, and I know this may be shocking.
I'll fight you. If you say knees that you're willing to do it, I will fight you.
This may be shocking, and you may want to fight me, but I would be willing to move Dennis Mulligan.
You're just this man's taking crazy pills.
That's funny.
No, but
Anyways, like
yeah, Matthew Knees is a non-starter. I think he's everything that this team has been sorely missing for a long time. He's big, he's skilled, he can score, he can play gritty. He is a younger, up and coming version of Corey Perry when Corey Perry was young.
Just
And
not as much
I
of a
think
douchebag.
again, not as much of a douche. Maybe not as much of a pest, but he can play big. And to think that as early as March that we could be seeing a top line of Matthew Knees, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner is unreal.
Yeah.
And that could be the top line going into the 2023-2024 season. That dude's projected to be a top 2 line player, and especially with someone like Matthews and Marner. No, you don't do that. Absolutely not.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if there ever is a Patrick Kane trade. I'm not sure if there will be, but time will tell. But apparently there will not be a trade for Kevin Durant. The Nets came out today, the day of recording, that they have come to an agreement with Kevin Durant that they are going to continue to move forward. I'm trying to find the exact quote because it sounds ridiculous, like the way they worded it, of like, we are focusing on basketball with one collective goal in mind: build a lasting franchise to bring a championship to Brooklyn. An agreement to move forward with our partnership. That's what I thought was the strangest way they put that. An agreement to move forward with our partnership. Okay, guys. So it sounds like Durant is staying put, and for all the reasons that we have talked about on this show a million times, that they only had a couple of suitors, and once some of those suitors went off the board, they kind of were left with the Raptors, and the conversation with the Raptors began and ended with Scotty Barnes. So now there's nowhere for him to go.
Nobody wants you.
That could also be it too. That's a great
Yeah.
point. It's also possible that no one wants to deal with this guy.
Well, no one wants him for the price, right? Like if you have Scotty, at least you still have Scotty. If you trade Scotty, you don't have Scotty. For the Celtics, if you trade and you still have Marcus Smart, at least you still have Marcus Smart. If you trade Marcus Smart, you don't have Marcus Smart anymore, right? Like I feel like you're giving
that's how
up
trades work.
Right, but I think what they're saying is, well, yes, but what I'm saying is if you give up specifically certain guys, you don't have those guys to fall back on in case Kevin Durant is like a nut job. Like there's just too much of a risk with him to give up those kinds of players. It's the same as the Kane expiring contract. You can't give up too much because he might not play for you, beyond this year, right? So you can't pay exorbitant amounts of currency, whatever that is, So I just find it interesting. Like, how do you sit and talk to Steve Nash now? Like, how does Steve Nash coach that team?
What Barclays Center sounds like on the home opener,
dude,
when they announce Kevin Durant at starting,
Oh yeah, he's gonna get booed to shit. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fantastic.
You
and I'm
think
here
so, or
for it.
you
I
think
kind
these
of
people are
want to.
just gonna be happy he stayed?
Oh, I think it's New York, man.
Yeah.
They will boo the shit out of that
You
man.
wanted out, now you're changing your mind. You don't want us, and now you're forced to stay here. Screw you.
Yeah. Can't wait. And know who else I can't wait to see booed, but he won't be? Anyone? Anyone? No? Deshaun
Bueller?
Watson.
Unless you're those fans,
So Deshaun, yeah, those fans, I think you're talking about the ones with the
the
signs.
dad and the son, just absolute
Yeah.
trash humans.
I don't even want to say what those signs said, but
That's no.
basically they
There's no
were.
possibility that's photoshopped, right?
I mean, if that's possible, but I don't think it is.
Football fans are stupid though, man. They forgive anything if it means that like a decent
win.
player plays for their team.
Yep.
Like
But
there's
basically what happened was there was a couple fans, and it looked like a dad and his kid, and he made his kid hold up these signs as well, and it was basically dismissing the victims, and one of the signs that the kid was holding said "Free Watson." So they, by free him, they're referring to the 11-game suspension that the NFL and Deshaun Watson have now settled on.
By the way, I should apologize from the last Deshaun Watson story. I said the NFL was going harder for a harder suspension. So my
Yes.
apologies. I was incorrect. I thought the NFL was being lenient, but it wasn't the NFL. It was the independent former judge who was making a decision based on what they saw and what they knew, and then the NFL appealed that decision. So, and then got a larger sentence or punishment for Deshaun Watson.
Right. So the suspension went from 6 games to now 11 games. He also has to do a number of, classes about behavior and all this bullshit. He'll also pay $5 million as a part of this fine. And here's what I find interesting. Did 11 games sound odd to either of you?
yeah.
Like, it's just like an arbitrary and odd number.
At that point, just do the season.
Do you know who they? So I believe they must have a week 12, or I think they have a week 12 bye.
Do they
The
play
Browns, that
Houston?
is. The first game back, Watson plays Houston.
Yeah, as much as the NFL wants to seem like they do things to punish players, they do that in a way, but without sacrificing their ability
How
to
can we
sell a
how can we look
storyline.
good and win?
And the game is in Houston.
Oh,
It's
he's
like,
gonna get
huh.
roasted.
Maybe that's
Absolutely.
punishment. Maybe that's part of the punishment
Yeah.
to the NFL. Maybe it's not a win. Maybe it's like we're gonna throw this guy right to the fucking wolves then. Right?
I will say this. Do you think though that he pulls a Ben Simmons and he's like,
No.
I haven't really had training camp. I'm suspended. I'm not playing this game.
No, this guy is lighting it up in preseason. I don't.
Or do you think Deshaun Watson goes in there and throws for 350 yards and like 4 touchdowns and they absolutely pummel the Texans?
He's gonna torch the Texans.
Yeah.
Yo,
Because that's how
that-
football always shakes down.
action
Always. Huh?
action on that game.
Yeah, you saying we should take a look at the over-unders on that game right now?
No, like I think as we get closer, like what's the over under on yardage for Deshaun Watson in that game?
I'm gonna set it at
That
275.
that might be some value.
Yeah, I'm taking over on that.
Oh yeah, 100%
Yeah.
over.
Because, I mean,
and then
we
on
all think he's gonna obliterate the Texans.
the revenge game of the century for him.
And he has
Just for him.
And he has Amari Cooper now. Like it's
I forgot about Amari Cooper.
Yeah, that's something that I need to really look into because there's been a lot of movement in this NFL offseason. And I'm just on the ESPN website now. I just saw that Gus Edwards is going to miss the first month of the season. So that's lovely. But I have my fantasy football draft tomorrow. So I need to really
Mine was actually at 8 p.m., but I was the 8th pick in this league that I'm in. So I just let it auto draft. If I'm the 8th pick, fuck it. I don't care. It's only a $30.
It's work, man. It's
only
not like as
$30.
much work as like fantasy baseball or something, but you need to have a good draft in fantasy football.
Yep.
All right, so that's all the major sports stories that we're going to talk about this week. Now it's time for top fives. And this week's top 5 is top 5 favorite athletes of all time. So now it doesn't necessarily have to be like who we think is the greatest athlete of all time. Because I mean, that list we could probably come together collectively and name like, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Serena Williams, and like we would easily hit that top 5 in a matter of a couple minutes. The exercise we're doing here is what is my personal top 5 favorite athlete, and what's James's, and what's Maddie's, and we will compare and contrast and see if we have anything that's overlapping. I think looking at my list, there may be one that overlaps with you guys, but who knows? And I have mine ranked 1 through 5, so like 1 to me is my number 1, and 5 is my least of the group. But I think we should start with 5 and work our way up.
Sure. I think you guys should go first.
James, you have your list ready? Or am I can go first.
So go ahead.
So my number 5, great player, obviously. But what I also appreciate about this guy, I think there's a common thread in all of my players. Whereas even though he's not a small man, in the game he plays, he's a small man. And I think there's that common thread with a lot of the guys I picked. I think it's kind of like those kind of guys who have to overcompensate for their size and play to a different level. And in this case, we're talking about a 2-time NBA MVP. And we're talking about a guy who dominated the NBA as a short white man. And that's Mr. Steve Nash. A game that is dominated by very large men, for a guy like Steve Nash, who's still 6'3", significantly taller than I am. But for a guy like his size to do what he did is unheard of. And the fact that he's Canadian is huge for me because, and I saw this again recently. I don't even know what I was watching, but it was some like podcast, maybe a television show or something. And they were talking about basketball and they're like, oh, it's America's sport. We invented it, right? No, Canada invented basketball. Like basketball is Canada's game. And Steve Nash put Canadian basketball on the map for a very long time. So Steve Nash is my number 5.
I like that.
Number 5 for me is Wendell Clark, Toronto Maple Leaf former Captain Crunch, if you will. The guy did everything for that team, and realistically, that team should have won a cup. They were
Carey Fraser.
they were beasts, man. And the best thing about Clark, I once with my dad watched Wendell fight Bob Probert like 12 rows in front of us, and they were just like, it's not like fights today in the NHL. There's so much like tugging, the helmets are on, they're just punching each other in the visor. Like Clark and Probert were just haymakers, just hammering each other. And I remember, and he had the wrist shot from hell. Remember when he took off Cujo's mask?
Yeah.
Like fucking, he would hit people. Dude, full disclosure, the man would leave his feet for a lot of hits. But
a lot of those hits during that era were 100% illegal hits to today's standards.
Yes, but it's allowed.
But he was just everything you wanted in a leader. Like, I remember being so upset the day he got traded, and I remember my dad taking me to Zeller's at the Upper Canada Mall to get his autograph, and I still have the card in his autograph. But I remember his hands just being the size of my head as a kid. Like, he was just, he was just like, if the Leafs, if he could play today, he's exactly what the team needed. Is just that kind of leadership quality. Like, he would have done, even when I think back to that era, I think we've talked about this before. Like, even the images of Gilmore playing and he's still got blood on his jersey. Like, they don't make players like that anymore. And, first overall draft pick for the Leaf, came as a defenseman, converted to a forward. Wendell.
Addie, number 5.
I like it. My number 5 actually is similar to Jim's. Mostly, you could say this is era adjusted, as it were. Honestly, probably a similar player is Jarome Iginla. I mean, as a hockey player growing up, I was always brought up to play a certain way. I always liked to play a certain way, and it was essentially modeled after Jarome Iginla, that a dude who could go in there, play tough, play gritty. He would fight. I still remember one of my favorite hockey moments is, and I don't mean like specifically 3 seconds or 3 minutes, but as a whole, is that Tampa Calgary series. And that Vinny Lecavalier Jerome McGinley fight in the playoffs, man, that still gives me goosebumps. That's two captains wanting nothing more than to just win, just willing to throw it down in a Stanley Cup final, which never happens. Fights don't happen in the playoffs. And these are your leaders going out there, leaving it all out there on the ice like that. And then McGinley was also robbed of the Hart Trophy because of fucking Montreal media and
Was there that
vote.
one year he had a three-way tie for the Richard, right?
Yeah. And then, but the year he was supposed to win the
The
Hart
Jose
was the
Taylor.
Montreal media. They voted for Jose Taylor because they didn't want someone not Montreal winning the trophy. And it actually changed the ruling on voting to make the Hart Trophy voting public or the voting for the NHL awards public for that reason. So I just think that's similar to Clark. The dude did it all. He would hit, he would fight, he could score like a madman. He had a shot from hell as well. Like the dude was awesome. And he's assisted on one of the biggest goals in Canadian hockey history, with Sid and Vancouver. So number 5 on my list is Jerome McGinley, and I have his autographed jersey that it's still going to be going up on this wall right here very soon. So
Did you guys ever play NHL 2K8 or the 2K series of the NHL games?
Yep. Where you could do the Zamboni.
Ew, no,
Oh my god.
I
So
thought it was
2K games
fun.
were awesome.
not for
Yeah,
hockey. They were.
yeah, they were. They were. I there's some game modes I wish EA would put into the games now. Basically, there's a game mode called Free for All. Okay, it was one net, and you picked one player.
They have
And
this.
I would always pick Jerome McGinley.
So
They
it's
have
And
threes
Yeah,
in
they have NHL
NHL.
3.
Oh no, but you're on the same team. It's 4
Yeah.
players, 4 people couch co-op. You're one player,
Yeah, they have
and
this.
there's one puck in one net, and you're all hitting each other and trying to score
Yeah.
on one net.
They have
EA
ones.
has it now.
But threes does that?
No, ones.
Yeah.
Oh, it's called ones. Okay.
Yeah, it's called one. Sorry, but yeah, they have it. But
Yeah.
no, I know what you mean. Like that mode is fun, but again, in that era, and when he was the cover boy of the NHL games, what was it? 06?
Oh,
No.
03, he was on the
03.
cover.
03.
Man, remember the heartbeat mode? Were you on a
Dude,
breakaway? and you-
NHL 03 might be the greatest video game soundtrack after Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
I would tend to agree with you that's the one they had Fall Out Boy. They had Papa Roach. I'm pretty sure that was the Fall Out
I don't
Boy.
think there's Fall. There's Jimmy Eat World and Papa Roach.
Sweetness.
Sweetness, yes.
Yes.
Very
So
good.
yeah, again, my number 5.
Also, do you know how many middle names that Jerome McGinley has?
Like 4.
Like
5.
I still
Arthur Lee, Adikuni, I don't know how to say that one. Tig Jr. and Elvis. It's 5
Nice.
middle names.
I also remember when he was interviewed on Boston TV and they didn't know it was Jerome McGinley during a snowstorm, right? And he's
I
at a
did see
gas
that.
station, and he's like, yeah, well, I grew up in Canada, and he's like, these winters aren't that bad, and things like that. They had no idea it was just Iggy, and it was fantastic.
All right,
So-
my second player, also not necessarily a small human by normal standards, but again, in the sport that he plays, not a big dude. And this guy, I think, similar to your explanation about Jerome McGinley, that he played the right way, this is the type of guy who is like a pit bull type player, where he would just fight you for everything. And would never take a play off, would always be in the middle of things, and was always the one causing the trouble. A 6-time All-Star and helped the Toronto Raptors win their first NBA championship. He's the greatest Raptor of all time, Mr. Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, he is the greatest Raptor of all time.
I don't think there's any question anymore. No. Obviously, there was the discussion at one point, like Chris Bosh did a lot for the team at the time. Vince Carter put the team on the map. I don't think anyone can ever take that away from him.
DeRozan kind of excelled at being, a fantastic scorer, but yeah, no one embodied being a Raptor better than Kyle Lowry.
I agree.
How long do you think that dude gets a statue?
I don't know, but he would be the first guy to get a statue because there are like half a dozen Maple Leafs out front of that building right now, but there are no Toronto Raptors, and I think there absolutely should be. I think they'll wait until he retires.
Yeah, but let's be honest though, up until now, until Lowry really, has any Raptor truly deserved to get a statue?
I don't think so.
Right. So I think it's not saying that the Leafs got one and or have this many, but the Raptors don't. I think a lot of that has to do one non-deserving and 200 years of history versus
For sure.
25, right? But I think out of anyone,
Sir,
if you're gonna do it,
Oliver Miller.
Doug Christie, with his wife, like they should have a statue with him and the wife just behind. You know that story, Dustin?
I don't
Doug
think so.
Christie's wife used to travel with him on the road
Because she didn't
because
trust
she
him.
didn't trust him. She was like, "No, I know what you guys are doing
That
when
sounds
you're
like
on
a
the road."
healthy. That sounds like a healthy relationship right there.
So yeah, so you could like go back and watch Doug Christie game clips on the road, and you see his wife in like the third row behind the team's bench
Just
every game.
arms crossed.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You know what though? Like, sorry, I had to check something. I don't know if you guys covered, but like, lest we forget, the beginning of the Raptors Lowry relationship was not good. Like they
He
got
almost
off
got
to
dealt to New York.
a rocky start. No, that was near the end. But even in the beginning, he didn't really want to be here. Apparently, he had
and
attitude
he
problems.
wasn't in. Yeah, he wasn't in the best shape at one point either. Like
They
it
traded his
didn't.
best friend, Rudy Gay.
Yeah, so there was definitely a lot of turmoil, and they eventually. I think it all kind of turned around when. Why am I blanking on his name? Masai Ujiri came in. And I think that's when things significantly changed for the better for that team, or at least the relationship between Kyle and the team.
Yeah. No, I agree. But yeah, he's definitely the first. And if you're gonna say we want to put Raptor statues out and we're gonna do 3, and I think what you do is you do similar to what the Leafs did is over a season, you unveil like the first 2 or 3 throughout the season. Kyle Lowry has to be the first one. And if it's not, that's absolutely criminal.
Right, but there's also no one that has a statue out front of the building that doesn't also have their number retired. So it's going to have to be a whole thing, and I don't think you retire a guy's number while he's still playing.
No, that I agree with you. That'll be when he retires. And I think they do a whole thing where they retire his number, he gets a statue, all that shit.
Yeah.
So
You might even rename the street from Raptors Way to Lowry Way or something. Let's
that'd
give
be
him
cool.
everything.
Yeah, you might as well. The dude did everything. He bled for this team, and yeah, Kawhi was the man, but you're not there without Lowry. So, Jim,
James, number 4.
Number 4, because I am a New York Jets fan, and you're probably thinking, who the fuck could you pick from the New York Jets to be your favorite
Mark
player?
Sanchez.
No.
Darrell Revis?
I was considering him, but it's not Darrell Revis.
Joe Montana.
No. When Joe Montana ever
Brett
played
Favre?
there, it was Brett Favre. Guys, what the fuck? Joe Montana
I'm
wasn't.
honestly trying to think of like New York
too.
Jets that matter.
Joe
and I
Montana
can't
wasn't
think of
there.
one.
It was Joe Namath was there.
Joe Namath, sorry.
But it's not Joe Namath. He is 6th all time in NFL rushing yards, and it's Curtis Martin. Curtis Martin was the epitome of the Jets' game plan. Like the Jets were a rushing team, and they no better example than the fact that Curtis Martin is 6th all time in rushing yards. And when you think about the running backs that have come through the NFL that have, like the list is, like if you think about the list that's ahead of Curtis Martin, number 1 is Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Frank Gore, Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, Curtis Martin. And then after him, LaDainian Tomlinson also played for the Jets.
I was going to say, Tomlinson's not in the top 5. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jerome Bettis, Eric Dickerson, Tony Dorsett, Jim Brown, Marshall Faulk, Edgerrin James, et cetera, Marcus Allen. So 6th. Curtis Martin is 6th all time with 14,101 rushing yards.
Those are some names, man.
Right? But there's some names, but who's among those names? Curtis Martin.
Barry Sanders, who's among those names.
And Curtis Martin. So, it was just like the guy was a beast. And watching him during the Pennington run, like I really thought that's when I started becoming a Jets fan, and I really thought they had a shot at a Super Bowl, and they were a good team, and it didn't happen for them. So yeah, Curtis Martin, number 4.
Super off topic. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but did you ever see that picture on like an Instagram picture of Garth Brooks? Garth Brooks, like a couple years ago, was wearing a Barry Sanders jersey before he went to perform in Ford Field.
Mm-hmm.
The internet blew up. People were furious
because
they thought it was a Bernie Sanders jersey. It's like, who wears a politician jersey. That's not a real thing. And
Barry
like everyone was
Sanders,
just
you
so
morons.
upset because he's like a country music
Republican.
performer, and obviously he's probably Republican. So, anyways,
Bernie.
like,
Oh, all right. My number 4, and I think it's the dude since he retired has done a lot for youth in this sport outside of outside of just going to broadcasting like most guys do. Like he could have done that. He has the personality for it, but no, he decided to go back, start a program, focus on youth, focus on developing in a culture that was maybe underdeveloped specifically for these kids, but also two-sport athlete. The dude went and played on a football game on a Sunday afternoon and then a World Series baseball game the same night. Prime time. Neon Dion.
prime time, baby.
Now, that dude, and also too, just the dude's moxie. And very few, okay, I kind of have a personal rule where it's if you can back it up, you say whatever the hell you want. Right. And there's a lot of athletes that will talk a lot of shit, but there's also always something about them that you're just like, yeah, but this, or yeah, but this. Dion's like one of those dudes. He say whatever the fuck he wants. Like, if you're a dude who can go play a football game from 1 to 4, charter your own private jet, and go play in a World Series baseball game that same night, like, man, and like put up good numbers too. Like, it's not like he was just some kind of plug in the NFL. He's fantastic. And also the quote, I said this the other like a couple weeks ago, where he was getting drafted and the team told him to read the book and he was like, "Where are you drafting?" And they're like, "Well, we're at like 11th." He's like, "I'm not even going to be there." And he threw the book down and got up and left his NFL interview. To kind of have those kind of stones, I don't know. I love Deion Sanders. I think the dude's the man. So my number 4 is Deion Sanders.
I also have a similar one for my number 3.
Bo Jackson.
not quite. Also, a two-sport athlete. We'll say. He actually retired from one entirely before he started playing the other. This guy, probably not that well known in terms of his original career. And I mean, still was a 2-time Pro Bowler, so it's not like he was entirely unheard of, but not like a major household name in the NFL. But since his retirement, has gone on to have one of the best podcasts in the history of podcasts, and is also the color analyst for Friday Night SmackDown, and is also the man who has consistently great wrestling matches. He is none other than Mr. Pat McAfee, who is now my number 3 of favorite athletes.
This guy fucking looks at me sideways for Curtis Martin, 6th all-time rushing. And then he comes out with the co-announcer for SmackDown.
No, but seriously, I think I like McAfee just because he seems like a normal dude, whereas so many guys in wrestling are so rigid and like they sound like a Vince McMahon puppet, whereas it sounds like McAfee's just out there having fun.
Being
and
Pat.
You can really feel that when you're
Pat's
watching
being Pat,
the
yeah.
broadcast.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I've only caught his podcast a couple times, and he just seems like a dude who doesn't put on a show in terms of something he's not. He's kind of just who he is.
Right.
So, no, that's cool. I like that. Jim, you're number 3.
Number 3. Probably stealing this from other people's lists, but here goes.
Probably stealing it from mine. I already know it.
Yeah. This guy, I remember I was in a summer camp for kids in Lindsay, Ontario. We went to a Jay game, and the Jays were playing the Seattle Mariners. And this guy had the sweetest swing in baseball of all time. And the guy, when you talk about 5-tool players, this guy was the absolute epitome.
I was going to say, it's taking you that long, Dustin? What the fuck?
Of a 5-tool player.
I was thinking about Blue Jays. I'm like, who on earth has ever played for the Blue Jays that I would call a 5-tool? Never mind. Go on.
He could hit. He could defend. He could steal. He could run. I mean, the kid had it all. Ken Griffey Jr. is right up there. Like it's in my pantheon. Like, there's no doubt that he's in top 3. I mean, the guy did it the right way. He's a Hall of Famer. It sucks that he never got to win a World Series. I mean, you think about great players that never won championships. Like that's got to sting. Like he was just like if you could create a baseball player, like that's what you would make. Like
especially those years when he was on a team with like Randy Johnson and Edgar Martinez. Like those were really good teams.
Alex Rodriguez. Like Alex Rodriguez was on that team.
Yeah.
So was David Segui, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I what do you say about him? He's just so fucking good. Like there's
one of the
everything.
greatest to ever play the game.
He had an arm. Like there was no flaw in the guy's game.
Yeah,
he made leaping catches over the wall. Sorry?
Yeah. There's nothing he could not do in baseball.
And you talk about guys who could talk shit and back it up. The guy barely said anything.
Like he just went out there and played and dominated when he played.
You know?
It was a couple of years ago they added him to MLB The Show.
He better be 99.
All of his cards are always like an end of the game type card to finally get a Griffey card. Griffey saw the cards and he was upset that his bunting was too low. It's like, well, I mean, you never really bunted because you have like the best swing in the history of the game. Like you never really had to do that. So his bunting was at like a 37 or something, but like you never had to bunt with Ken Griffey Jr.
No.
Okay. What manager would make Griffey bunt? Like, I don't care if it is the perfect situation for a bunt where it's a guy's on second, you got a tie game, it's no out, it's the bottom of the 9th. Like, you're not making Griffey bunt.
No, you're saying swing away.
No, like that dude. And if you're the manager that tells Griffey to bunt, if I'm Griffey, you walk up to say, well, you're fired. And you go up there and you jack a homer and you trot the base and you stare at that guy as he walks out of the stadium.
The cool thing about his, like, even when you think about when he hit home runs, he was like upright and like he looked like a statue every time he hit a home run. It was like prestigious.
No extra movement.
No.
It was pure. There was no extra movement, nothing that wasn't
no embellishment.
There that didn't need to be there. No embellishment. It was smooth through the ball. A lot of guys make the contact and there's a slight stutter in their swing on the follow through and they probably lose out on a little bit of power doing that. It was just pure through the ball, extension of the arms. You know, the leg was into it. The hips were pushed forward. The guy, I guarantee you, if you go to baseball heads, like true baseball heads, guys like Dustin and, you know, statisticians and historians of the game, and you tell them players in history that you could say came the closest, if not had a perfect swing, I guarantee you 80% of those guys, and you get them to list 2 or 3 guys, Griffey's on every one of their lists. 100%. And I can't really say much because Griffey was number 3 on my list. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I will write Griffey in for your number 3 as well.
It's just how, and again, it's this kind of what you said is he never talked shit. He went out there, played the game. He played the right way. I mean, I know that's so cliche when it comes to sports, but
steroid era.
He was just, yeah. And, you know, he was everything you looked at in an athlete, not just a baseball player, but just an athlete. You know, he was good with fans. He was a great player off the field. He busted his ass. You know, he didn't just rely on talent. He worked hard too. You know, he was one of those guys that didn't just say, well, I'm good enough on talent alone. He desired to be the best. And I love those mindsets. So yeah, Griffey was my number 3 as well.
All right. Now my number 2 then. So now we're getting to the top of the list here. Some of our favorite athletes of all time. This man, I think, is fair to say, this gets thrown around a lot, but I think this is a fair assessment to call him a living legend. Someone who personally I've met and kind of a surly man that is kind of a dick, but in terms of what he did,
Michael Bradley,
Larry Zabisco.
Not Larry Zabisco, but in terms of what he did during his career, it's not about how he is as an old man. It's about the fact that he was the first ever Triple Crown winner. It's the fact that he is a 5-time WWF champion. He is a former 2-time WCW champion. He's one of the, I think he's the only professional wrestler in the Canadian Walk of Fame.
And he was on Lonesome Dove.
He's also on an episode of The Simpsons. This, of course, is Bret the Hitman Hart.
I thought you were going to play the music for a sec.
Oh, that would have been a good cue there, James. Should have did that. According to Wikipedia, he's ranked 39th greatest Canadians of all time.
that's pretty big.
Who's number 1?
That's a good point. I'll pull up that list
Probably,
as we discuss. But
probably Gretzky.
Banting.
Yeah, probably Gretzky. I bet Celine Dion is probably up there or something.
Bieber.
Wayne Gretzky was actually number 10.
Okay.
Tommy Douglas.
Yeah, medical, right?
Yes. Father of Medicare.
Yeah.
And was the premier of Saskatchewan. Terry Fox, number 2. That's a good one. For some reason, Pierre Trudeau is number 3. This is a weird list. David Suzuki is number 5.
No one gives a fuck about David Suzuki.
Don Cherry is number 7. This is an old list.
Yeah, that needs to be...
That one needs to be amended.
But yeah, so Bret Hart.
Bret Hart is my number 2. Yeah, again, he's a bit of a dick in his old age, but there's no denying
fair, he was a bit of a dick in his
was.
young age too.
That's also a good point. If you consider like how egotistical it was for him to be like, I don't want to lose my belt in Montreal. Like, it's really gives a shit. But he was a massive, massive star in Canada, and for a guy like me growing up in the 90s, like Bret Hart was our hero, right? So
he was the pinnacle of wrestling for Canadians when they watched wrestling.
He should still be the gold standard of professional wrestling, but he's not. Wrestling has glorified guys like Shawn Michaels and John Cena, the more sports entertainment-y guys. But if you go back and watch Bret Hart matches now, go back and watch his matches with Kevin Nash, and go back and watch his matches with the British Bulldog.
Dude, the art of his selling was unreal.
Yeah, and no one sells anymore, so it's a different era, right? Everyone just does a million things a million miles an hour and gets up a second later. Whereas everything that happened in a Bret match, like you felt the pain on his body.
Yeah, especially when the hair dried out and it got all frizzy and he looked like he was Nick Nolte in a mugshot. 100%. But I will say this, Bret, though, is probably in my top 3 list of favorite wrestling moments of all time. WrestleMania 10.
What, where he lost Owen Hart, or when he won the world title at the end of the night?
When he won the world title at the end of the night,
Okay.
and then everyone comes out, puts him on the shoulder, and Owen stands at the ramp. He's like, no.
I beat him.
Yeah.
Fucking good book. That was just good bookings, what that was.
Yeah.
To have him lose.
You're set up
win.
there with Owen and Bret for the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
So Jim can attest to this. I love that moment so much. I would force my dad to rent WrestleMania 10 on VHS
From Jumbo?
from Jumbo Video or Blockbuster at least once every 2 weeks because I wanted to watch that. He's like, you've seen this so much. I was like, I don't care. I want to watch it again. And then he'd be like, no, I'm not getting this. It's like, no one cares, Dad. Just rent the fucking movie. So that's, Bret Hart. I like that one too. So I feel like Jimmy's number 2 is going to be the same as mine. So go ahead, Jim.
We got a motor too, so
Yeah, how much time do we have left? Like 7 minutes or something?
something like that, yeah. So maybe 6. So I'm gonna motor through this, even though it doesn't deserve it. Number 2, Mamba mentality, baby. Like the guy,
Number 2.
yeah, Kobe Bryant. I've been obsessed lately with guys that didn't settle. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, like they were just like winning championships for these guys wasn't enough. Like they had to beat you, and they forced you to beat them. And I think that was, these guys were just so obsessed with being the best that they did whatever they could. Like I said, one time I was reading this book and there was a thing about Kobe where he hurt his finger, and to get back into shape and to fix his shot, he took like 100,000 shots or something, or 10,000. I can't remember the number. And someone was like, was that shots? You took that many shots? He's like, no, that's how many I made. Like, he's like, he didn't stop until he made that many shots. And he used to say that he didn't practice taking shots. He practiced making shots, which is that's the difference in the mindset. And I think, the whole Mamba mentality and all of that, like it's dangerous because it puts you in a spot where you're like you just keep running. Like you're just trying to achieve all the time. But at the same time, man, if you're not grinding, like what are you doing? So yeah, rest in peace, the GOAT, Kobe.
Yeah. Kobe's also my number 2, all for the same reasons. That kind of mindset and drive to be as talented as that, but to say that, you know what, I can be this talented, but guys can still outwork me. So I'm not just going to rest on that I'm going to supplement my ability with my work ethic. And I don't think there's any question that he might be arguably one of the hardest working athletes in sports history. So Kobe for all those reasons, number 2. And I had this tweet the other day where I said I went into a black hole of watching old Kobe interviews where he talks about Mamba mentality and what it takes. And man, I felt like I could stand outside and punch a meteor. It was great. And it was at like 2 in the morning. I was like, this is not good. I'm up and ready to go. So yeah, Kobe number 2 for me.
All right, then it's down to my number 1. This man, 8-time All-Star. He won a Cy Young in both the American League and the National League. He pitched a perfect game. His number is retired by 2 franchises.
Roy Halladay.
The doctor himself, Roy Halladay, is my number 1 favorite athlete of all time. He was just a guy that, and again, we say it a lot, but like did things the right way. Like he was a dominant player in baseball, and he was so humble about it. And
Dude,
he was the nicest guy ever.
He almost pitched a perfect game in his debut.
Yeah. He went play 8.2 or whatever it was until it got broken up. Insane. And he was just, I don't know, just the fact that he was so humble about how good he was. And I'm reading a stat recently that the most complete games since 2009 is Roy Halladay.
Yeah, still.
Like guys just don't pitch complete games anymore.
Guys
and Roy Halladay just did it on the regular. So
yeah, it was like nobody's business. He went out there and you knew it was minimum 8 innings.
He also had a playoff no hitter, didn't he?
Yeah,
he threw a hitter in the playoffs for the Phillies. Yeah, but his perfect game was not in the playoffs. But yes, October 6, 2010, he threw a postseason no hitter.
Where's your Halladay jersey? So, call yourself a fan. Okay,
Dude,
Jim,
I wish I could get one. And we've gone through like the jersey rules and stuff. I can't just put a Halladay on a new jersey, so it'd have to be an old black one, or a more appropriate time frame one.
That ugly red, white, and blue one.
No red.
My number 1. My brother probably knows who it is. Very easy. Probably one of the most prolific goal scorers that was probably his career was cut short due to injury. Played on multiple teams, performed everywhere he went. Recently, people have said that if he played in today's game, he would be the most dominant player from the past to play in today's game. And would still hang. Pavel Bure. That dude was he was today's goal scorer in a 90s game. And he was a piece of shit too. Like he was not
an asshole on the ice.
He was an asshole on the ice, but man, the absolute speed that he would do things. And if you go back and watch Pavel Bure highlights, and this will be the only thing I say before we move on, watch him keep the puck in the zone. He himself would handle the puck and dismantle defenses because he would just carry it from the corner up to the blue line, around into the slot. Like he was nuts. Like go back and watch some of that. Not just the breakaways, not just the shot, not just the eye for the net, but his puck position was unreal. And
he would put up 60 without breaking a sweat in today's NHL.
And that Nucks team, again, teams that should have won cups, that Nucks team had every reason to beat that Rangers team. But Pavel Bure.
Okay. My number 1 is easy, and honestly, all you really got to do is say a name, and I think everyone knows, and it justifies itself. It's Muhammad Ali.
Very good.
Right behind you.
Yep. Jim knows I'm a massive boxing fan. I have been since I was younger, and I don't think many people embodied being an athlete more than Muhammad Ali, and embodied greatness the way Muhammad Ali did. The dude did it all, and he was just he is the GOAT to me. He is the gold standard of greatest of all time athletes is Muhammad Ali.
Do we have time for shout outs, James?
We don't. We got to run.
All right. That's fine. We did 5 shout outs each this week.
True.
And we
there you
will
go.
be back next week with a regular shout outs segment as we normally end the podcast. So, but that's it. That's all we have time for this week. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for subscribing. We will see you next week for episode 20 here on 43.6, the sports podcast you always wanted.